Welcome in, folks, to the World of Football YouTube channel. I am your host, Adam Snow, and joining me today, as always, is the founder of the World of Football and my father, Randy Snow. And today we'll be recapping Week 4 of the inaugural season of Arena Football 1. Dad, how are you doing?
Great. Another great weekend of AF1 action. Let's get into it.
Yes, for sure. But before we talk about that Week 4 slate of games, I'd like to remind you all to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. It helps us out. We are currently sitting at 1,165 subscribers as of this recording. So please help us out. Any like, any comment, does the channel good. Tell your friends about us. It helps us grow, and we'd be greatly appreciative. Without further ado, this week we're just going to get right into the games. Let's just start talking about it. Week 4 AF1 action kicked off on Thursday night as the Billings Outlaws went into Washington and took care of the Wolfpack 61-23. Now, Dad, I know you had a busy schedule this weekend. What did you see of this game, and what are your takeaways?
I missed the game, I'm afraid to say, and I apologize to team owner Steve Titus for not watching the game. So I wore the Billings Outlaws championship shirt from last week as a way to make up to him. I did not actually see the game. I saw highlights, but yeah, I didn't actually see the game itself.
Well, I caught a little bit of it here and there Thursday night. Very busy. It was spring break week here, so been kind of all over the place trying to fit in as much football as I can, as well as not watching enough football to piss off the fiance. You know how that goes. But let's talk about some stats. The Billings Outlaws quarterback Braden Wingle, I believe is how you pronounce his name, 22 of 31 during the game, 249 yards. He threw 6 touchdown passes. Awesome game for him. And then he had 2 rushes for 11 yards. But then, the wealth was spread around with those wide receivers there. You had Jevin Frett, who had 10 catches for 114 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wide receiver Adrian Adams had 7 catches for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. And wide receiver Kenneth Brewer III had 4 catches for 49 yards and, that's right, you guessed it, 2 touchdowns. So the wealth was spread. Billings is out there having a very balanced passing attack. You love to see it. They're a force to be reckoned with. On the other side of the ball, though, the Wolfpack still trying to figure things out. I did think quarterback Ed Crouch had flashes where he looked really good. I think he started the game off with the 25-yard run for a touchdown to kind of start and take the lead for the Wolfpack. So you thought maybe for a minute that the Wolfpack were going to make this a game. But Crouch would end up being 8 of 13 during the game. He only threw for 63 yards and a touchdown, as well as an interception. But he did have 12 rushes, including that 25-yard scamper for a touchdown. He rushed for 63 yards and had 2 touchdowns on the ground throughout the game. And then wide receiver Deshaun Williams had 4 catches for 30 yards and a touchdown. He also ran the ball 2 times for 4 yards. And look, this is Billings dominance. Washington came in, you get your early strike, and hey, it's arena ball. Teams are going to score. But the question is, can your defense, get some stops? And Billings' defense made some stops. They even had the early pick 6. There was a span where Billings made a 22-point run to start the game, including that pick 6 and a safety. So Billings' defense came to play, and it's just, for the Wolfpack, it was just an avalanche of just disappointment after a while. They were even down 41-17 at halftime, and they only were able to muster up 6 points in the third quarter and went scoreless in the fourth. So Billings, did what Billings does as the reigning arena champions. Again, while this is the inaugural AF1 season and there is no AF1 champion, Billings, though, as you got your shirt there, Arena Bowl champions last year, heck of a roster, heck of a coaching staff there.
Yeah,
what more do you want to say about them?
This is the second away game for Billings. I think their first 4 games, maybe even 5 games, are all on the road. So they're not showing that they have any problems going on the road and winning some games, but that might be different this week. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll talk about that again coming up. They got a big road test this upcoming week. They're going to have back-to-back games against a very tough opponent. And let's finish up talking a little bit more about Washington real quick. They finally got their brand new uniforms in, and they looked pretty good. I thought they looked really good. The helmet, obviously, still just as great as it was last season.
Oh, yeah.
Now with those bright blue uniforms and that purple accents, I just think it looked really sharp. I'm curious to see if they got a different set of pants to go with it. With the black pants, it wasn't a bad look, but could these be, Dad? I have to ask, now that we've kind of seen all these teams' uniforms, or most of them, are these the sharpest uniforms overall in the AF1?
Well, you're more into the uniforms than I am, so I'll let you call
That's
that.
true.
But I think all the teams have some really, really good uniforms this year. I think we've seen them all now from all the different teams, and they're all really, really good.
I think we still have a few alternates to still make their debuts. I know Billings still hasn't debuted their home uniform, and they haven't debuted their alternate gunmetal gray uniform that we've been hearing about.
Mm.
So I'm sure there's still a few, and there's the rumors of Albany with the orange uniform. So fingers crossed that we'll see that at some point this season. Anything else about this game before we decide to move on?
No, no.
All right. All right, guys, we're going to move on. But first, we hope you're enjoying what you're seeing. We'd like to let you guys know that we also have a podcast. That's right. Like every other set of YouTubers out there in the world, we have a podcast. This week in the world of football, guys, we cover everything from the NFL, CFL, Arena Football 1, Indoor Football League, you name it in the world of football. We try to cover it. Dad, what are some of the topics we got coming up on this week's show?
Well, one of the big stories that came out this past week is that the Canadian Football League has a new commissioner, the 15th in their league history. So we're going to talk about him and what his background is. And the other story that I think is kind of interesting this week, Coastal Carolina is going to be giving away free food at their football games this year. Anytime you're talking about free food, I'm definitely there. So we may have to take in a Coastal Carolina game this year.
All right, so be sure to check out This Week in the World of Football every Tuesday right here on YouTube or wherever good podcasts can be found. All right, now we're going to move on into the Friday night game in AF1 Week 4, which saw the Nashville Cats hold off the Oregon Lightning 40-32. The Nashville Cats, they've had a quarterback carousel this season. Every game they've had a different starting quarterback, and this week it would be Tyler Kaluka, a name that I wasn't familiar with, but before the game they kind of flashed some of his history, and they talked about him a little bit on the broadcast. He played in the X League in Japan for the Obix Seagulls.
Mm.
We're not familiar with that team specifically, but we know the folks over at Gridiron Japan cover that league, and we've had them on our show to talk about the X League before. So maybe that name or that team has kind of come across our radar before. We just
Oh
forgot
yeah.
about it, but it was
Oh
cool
no,
to see that. And
I've heard of the Obix Seagulls. Yeah, that's one of their teams
okay,
over there. I'm familiar with
I
them.
can't remember. Okay, I can't remember all the names of the X League teams, but they still have good football over there in Japan, guys. So again, football all over the world. It's amazing. But also for Tyler Kolka, apparently he went to an NAIA school here in Michigan at Lawrence Tech, which is something I did not know, which is pretty cool. So Lawrence Tech, yeah, NAIA, Dad. For those who don't know, what is NAIA football?
Well, you've got your NCAA teams, you got your Division Two, Division Three. NAIA is like a step right around, maybe about the same as Division Three football. So it's like
Okay.
a whole entity unto itself.
Yeah. So when I heard that, I thought that was really cool. From the broadcast side of things, though, Eli Gold again just bringing the goodness. I can't tell
Love
you. As
Eli.
soon as I watch the Nashville Cats game, I'm like, please let there be Eli Gold. Please let there be Eli Gold. And sure enough, he delivered yet again. And he was great this week. He even had a partner. I didn't write his name down. I apologize. But they were great. I thought listening to these two guys do this game was fantastic. Eli Gold's passion for arena football definitely comes through. And to me, it's just, we talked about it before. It takes you back to the old TNN days when Eli Gold would cover it and on NBC when he would do it. It's just something special when it's Eli Gold on the broadcast. And he had a pretty good game this week. It didn't start off, so hot for the Lightning. The Lightning made it a game eventually in the second half. But the Cats get the win here, 40-32. I want to mention quarterback Tyler Kolka, who we were just talking about, went 20 of 25 for 154 yards. He threw a couple touchdowns. So a solid game for him, still getting his footing. And the wide receiver Robert Jones Jr. for the Cats had 8 catches for 76 yards and a pair of touchdowns. He also had 7 rushes for 31 yards and a touchdown. On the Oregon side of things, quarterback Dalton Cole was 13 of 30 for 94 yards. He threw 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He also rushed the ball 8 times for 52 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then wide receiver Chris Lewis had 3 catches for 51 yards and a pair of touchdowns. You saw that. I know you didn't also get to watch this game live. You watched some of the highlights. What were some
No.
of your takeaways?
Just you know, it seems like Oregon started out a little slow, but they came on towards the end. Not enough. Nashville was in control. They were up like what looks like the 27-12 at halftime. So yeah, they kind of cruised to a victory, but still Oregon made a game of it, and I think you've got to keep an eye on Oregon because they're going to win some games this year. They definitely are.
Yeah, they outscored the Cats in the second half, 20-13. They only lost by 8 points. They scored 14 points in that final quarter. So Oregon is a team that, despite their record, they're 1-2. Yeah, they had the last second win last week, but they're a team to be careful about. They're a team that if you give them
Yep.
an inch, they're going to score, a couple times on you. They're going to
Yep.
sneak up on you. So keep an eye out for it. Don't let the records fool you. Yes, it's still early. These teams are still figuring themselves out. Shoot, Nashville, 3 quarterbacks in 3 games. We'll see if they make any more changes going into their next game or not. But they got a solid team there in Nashville and a solid team there in Oregon. I think as this season progresses, we're going to see a lot more competitiveness and a lot more fight. And we're going to see a lot more uniform combinations that are just going to be interesting because this week it was Oregon and they're all oranges again against Nashville and they're all black. So that was kind of a fun uniform matchup there. All right. Anything else from this game before we move on?
Nope.
Okay. All right, guys, we'd like to take this time to remind you that you can follow us on social media. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Links down in the description below. Also, down below this video, you'll also find links to our merch store. That is right, guys. Over at TeePublic, we got some new shirts and some new merch over there that we're trying to peddle out there. If there's something you like, go give it a like. This is more of a personal shirt that we made, but we got more shirts over there with the World of Football branding on it and some arena football themed stuff, some Canadians themed stuff. So go over there, check it out. We're going to try to be adding more stuff as we go along. So if you see something, why don't you click on it? It helps us out. All right, the final game of the weekend, week 4 in the AF1, capped off with their nationally televised game on Vice, which saw the Albany Firebirds defeat the Salina Liberty 57-27. Now, this is a game that you were able to watch. I know because
Yes.
we were texting about it.
Yes.
It helps that it was nationally televised this time around. makes for good appointment viewing as an arena fan.
Yeah.
But we'll just jump in before I talk stats. Tell me about your experience watching the game. What were your thoughts?
Good broadcast again. There was a point in the third quarter, I think, where Albany was up and they went to a commercial, and when they came back from the commercial, evidently they had not stopped playing, so there was another touchdown scored during that commercial, and so I didn't get to see it. I was kind of watching the game on a bit of a delay, so I was like, fast forwarding through the commercials, and I thought I went way too far. So I had to back up, and then all of a sudden I realized, no, they just came back from the commercial, and there's another touchdown on the scoreboard. So that's my only complaint about the broadcast. Otherwise, everything was great. It's Ari Wolf and Cedric Bonner. They're a great combination in the booth. They're very knowledgeable. They've been with the game for a long time, and so yeah, the Vice broadcast is really good. So this was the only glitch to me that made it not the perfect broadcast on Sunday night.
There were a few things I noticed. Like sometime in the first quarter, I want to say they were still on the broadcast, but it seemed like they called a media timeout on the field. So they were kind of just hanging around at one point, just like, oh, we don't know if maybe they thought we were going to commercial and we didn't. So like nothing was happening on the field. It was like a big delay in getting a playoff. So that was weird. There were some audio issues I felt like with like their sideline reporter. What is it, Selena Gutierrez?
Yes.
Right? Or
Yes.
Sophia, I forget her.
Sophia.
It is Sophia. Okay, Sophia Gutierrez. She does great sideline stuff there for him, but there was just times where her mic just was cut out when she was trying to talk. So they still got some bugs to work out with that, I think. Otherwise, pretty solid broadcast. I must have missed the part you were talking about because I was kind of doing stuff here and there while the game was on. So, but this was an entertaining game for about a half. I thought Salina. We talked about it last week. I thought this was going to be a bloodbath. I thought Albany was just going to come in and set that little arena on fire, and Salina came to play. Salina did not look like that team we saw the last couple of weeks. They seemed competent. They got a couple of good stops early against Albany, so it made me go, "Oh shoot, is Albany going to have an off game, or is Salina finally figuring stuff out?" And for about a half, it was very competitive, very back and forth. It was the Firebirds were only up 21-20 going into halftime.
Yeah, this was as usual, a tale of two halves. The first half, it was very close. They were just trading scores. The only difference was a missed extra point in the first half, and then come the second half, and Salina was shut out in the third quarter, 13-0. So from there, just they dug a hole they couldn't get out of. But the first half was really, really good in this game.
Yeah, and that's tough. I mean, I was really pulling for Salina at a couple points. I was like, wow, I didn't think they would be able to do it, but they were within a point. I thought they figured stuff out. And just Albany just showed why they're the better team, and they put a heck of a game together and finished very strong. They scored 23 points in that fourth quarter to Salina 7. Granted, one of them was that last second touchdown pass by the backup quarterback that they debated on the broadcast. Should they have done that? Should they not have? I mean, it's hard to say. If you're getting your backup quarterback some reps, then I get it. But at the same time, they're running up the score. I don't know. It didn't make me mad. I could see why it'd be a little frustrating. It's like, all right, we get it. We were down, done, and you did that. But I mean, also at the same time, my other philosophy is, well, then stop them. Play till the last whistle. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, one of the big highlights from this game, especially in the second half, was the 50-yard field goal by Albany kicker Henry Nell in the fourth quarter. Uh, when he kicked that, the camera was right behind the goalpost, so you saw it go high, and then all of a sudden it came right back into view and right between the uprights. That was an amazing kick, and so that's obviously an AF1 record this year, 50-yard
Yeah.
field goal.
I'm sure that'll get broken at some point, maybe in the future. But
Maybe.
a lot of stuff from these games. This AF1 as they're trying to find their footing as these coaches are integrating into the game. I felt Salina was in the shotgun quite a bit. That's been a big debate the last several weeks. Is the shotgun formation versus playing under center? It's obviously if you got a running quarterback, I think it helps. But at the same time, it's been a detriment at a lot of points. I felt like just anytime they're in the shotgun, I just see a lot more go wrong than I see go right. I mean, I'm not saying that that type of formation can't work. It's just it hasn't been cracked quite yet. I think to be, uh, a staple in the arena game. Like it's got its plays and it's worked a few times, but I think it'll be an ongoing debate the rest of the year and maybe years going forward, depending on what type of coaches get brought into the league.
Yeah, I think the shotgun formation has a place now and then, certain circumstances in the game, but not every play of the game cannot be a snap to the, you know, a long snap like that. You've got to be under center, to me, a good share of the time. But yeah, Salina, committed 4 turnovers in this game, and yeah, that's hard to overcome. Just like the being shut out in the third quarter, just they had it in the first half, and they just I don't know what happened, but they just kind of lost it in the second half.
I think Albany's just sheer will and just their talent just kind of showed, and they were able to put Salina away. And Salina just got to make, it's got to be mistake free playing a good team like that.
Yep.
We talked about the stops earlier. They were getting stops, and when you can't get stops, it's just going to snowball out of control. So clearly, a lot of work for Salina, but I think they did a lot right, and if they could just piece it all together for a full game, they could be a team to be, taken seriously. And this was a playoff team last year, so we'll see.
I think they're close to putting it all together this year.
Yeah, I think all these teams, there's not one team I would say is an absolute dumpster fire of a team. It's still a lot of teams with a lot of good talent trying to figure stuff out. Let's quickly talk some stats. Sam Castronova, quarterback for the Firebirds, was 9 of 17 for 132 yards. He threw 5 touchdowns. He rushed the ball 3 times for 40 yards. Wide receiver Dwayne Brown had 3 catches for 44 yards and 2 touchdowns, along with a rush for 12 yards. And wide receiver Darian Townsend had 2 catches for 30 yards and a touchdown. He also had a rush. Maybe that's not. Nope, never mind. Disregard the rushing. I think I just copied and pasted the wrong thing.
Okay.
On Salina's side of things, quarterback Javen Clago was 20 of 43. He threw 43 passes during this game. A lot of drops. There's so many drops and so many errant throws during this game, but he still managed to throw for 190 yards. He threw for 2 touchdowns, but the 3 interceptions were killers. I think one of them was even brought back for a touchdown, which does not help your cause.
No.
He also had 3 rushes for 26 yards. A guy I really liked during this game, wide receiver Malik Honeycutt. Not just because of the name. I thought he just played really well. Had 8 catches for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then wide receiver Edward Smith Jr. had 6 catches for 68 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also had a rush for 2 yards. So, yeah, so Salina's got a lot of positives, a lot of stuff to still work on. I'd be curious to see how they do going forward. Any other thoughts from this game for you?
No, no. It was a fun game to watch. Even though it was kind of a blowout at the end, it was still a lot of fun to watch.
Yes, it was a great arena football, a lot of great plays, and one of the best kickers in the game. Albany and Billings have 2 of the best kickers, and it's always good to have good kicking in arena football is so entertaining because they can involve themselves in so much of the game between the deuce, between kicking balls off the iron, the long field goals. They are weapons, and I'd like to see more of that. Some of these other teams seem like they're shy of their kickers. There's a lot of these teams going for it on fourth and long on their own. I'm tired of seeing a lot of these 4th down plays. Like, no, kick the field goal. Let's get it interesting. But clearly they don't have confidence. A lot of these teams, at least, are not as confident in their kickers as maybe Albany and Billings are. So
Yeah.
all right, on bye this week, Corpus Christi, the Tritons, and then Southwest Kansas also on bye. So looking at our standings after 5 weeks of play, after week 4, that's because of the 0 week, so that's been 5 weeks of arena ball. The Albany Firebirds sit at the top with a 3-0 record, followed by the undefeated 2-0 Billings Outlaws and the undefeated 2-0 Corpus Christi Tritons. Then you got the 2-2 Southwest Kansas Storm, the 1-2 Nashville Cats, and the 1-2 Washington Wolfpack, the 1-3 Oregon Lightning, and then the 0-3 Salina Liberty. And
Yeah, you've
thoughts
got
from you?
three undefeated teams in Albany, Billings, and Corpus Christi, and you've got one winless team in Salina. So that even at this point of the season, it's not that bad of a situation as long as you can get your act together
No.
pretty soon.
And we know that the top 6 teams, as of right now, will probably make the playoffs unless something changes. That as far as I know, top 6 are going to make it. So right now, I mean that field is wide open. So a lot of season left to be played. All right, looking at the Week 5 preview on Saturday, April 12th on Evergreen. Now you're going to have the Southwest Kansas Storm traveling to Salina to take on the Liberty. This might be a game Salina might actually put it all together, or maybe Southwest Kansas can get back on the winning track. They've dropped 2 straight going into this game. So both these teams looking to snap losing streaks. So that should be an interesting game to watch. Then on Sunday, you're going to have on Evergreen now the Corpus Christi Tritons 2-0 traveling to Washington to take on the Wolfpack. This will be Corpus Christi's first time playing anybody not named the Salina Liberty. And we'll see if Washington can, Washington's had quite a few home games so far, so we'll see if they can get the W there. And then the game all arena fans should be excited about. Everybody. The game that should deliver and then some. Sunday, April 13th on Vice TV will be the undefeated Billings Outlaws traveling to Albany to take on the undefeated Firebirds in a rematch of Arena Bowl 33, which saw the Outlaws take that one. I'm very excited for that game. It is going to be must-watch television. I will be glued to my TV, even though I'm pretty sure we'll be coming back from Detroit when that game kicks off. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
But excited nonetheless to check this game out.
Yeah, I'll have this on DVR, so whether I can see it all live or whether I have to watch it on delay, I'll be watching it and paying close attention to everything in that game because that's going to be one heck of a game.
Yeah, make sure you got your best friend Steven Titus's phone number on speed dial so you can text him during the game.
I think he'll be a little bit too busy to talk to me. I mean, he'll be flashing that ring to the crowd.
Oh, I'm sure he will. This should be a lot of fun, a lot of rivalry, talk between these two teams. So that it should be a lot of fun on and off the field for them. And then on bye this week, the Nashville Cats and the Oregon Lightning. Not a whole lot of news this week. I don't think there was really any news story, but I did want to say this before we wrap up today's show. So after the Firebirds game last night, Dad, I'm sure, they always post like the final score, and a nice fun graphic about how the game went.
Mm-hmm.
And the AF1 posted this tweet that said, "Are the Albany Firebirds the best team in the AF1?" with the picture of that, their 57-27 victory over Salina. And, me being the type of person I am, I just commented and said, Billings is the best team. They asked the question. They asked if Albany was the best, and I just gave them an honest answer.
Yeah.
And the admin for the AF1 X account, trying to start stuff between me and the Firebirds. Firebirds, nothing against you, because they made sure to tag the Firebirds and ask their thoughts on my tweet.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just going to say right now, hey, stop trying to start stuff, AF1 admin. Stop it. We love the league as a whole.
Peace,
we might
peace
be
and
a little
love. Peace and love.
Peace and love. We might be a little more partial to Billings just because Dad is best friends with Steven Titus. So I'm not trying to be biased here. I do just think that Billings is the better team after what I've seen thus far this season. So if I'm wrong, Firebirds, I will give you your flowers next week. But it should be a good game regardless. It should be a great game.
Yeah, great game. I can't wait for this game to happen.
Yep, very excited. All right. Anything else before we wrap up this week's show?
No, I think we're good.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to this channel for more AF1 recaps and other football goodness as the arena indoor spring football seasons march forward. We'll see you next time on the World of Football.